As you get more and more accustomed to dealing with chemical reactions, there's going to come a time where you need to be able to take words and chemical names and turn them into chemical formulas accurately. Okay? And it really shows up when you try to write a complete balanced equation. If you're able to do each piece correctly, this will balance out and work out perfectly. But if you have trouble putting together names and turning them into formulas, then it reveals itself really quickly when you try and deal with a balanced equation that represents a reaction. So let's take a look at this problem right here. This says we have solid sodium and calcium nitrate, which is probably in a solution, dissolved in water, yields calcium and sodium nitrate. We put it together so we can kind of see that the sodium and the calcium switch places. It's what's called a single displacement reaction. Let's take a look at what this would appear like as a chemical formula. Let's try one thing at a time. So I'm going to take a look just at sodium, nothing else. I'm not going to worry about the rest of the reaction. Sodium, we know its chemical formula is Na. It's a metal. Any metal can exist by itself. It does not need to be diatomic like, say, hydrogen or oxygen. It's not always showing up in pairs in nature. It can just be a single sodium atom. So we're going to write one single sodium atom. Now, as I go across this list, I'm going to take a look next at calcium nitrate, and I'm not going to worry about what it turns into later on. I just want to know what calcium nitrate's formula is. So what I have to do first off is I have to notice that this is an ionic compound. It's got a positive ion with a metal and a negative ion with one of my polyatomics that I should have memorized by now or at least be familiar with. Calcium makes a positive 2 ion. Nitrate makes a negative 1. So I know, and notice I'm doing this with the words, not with the formulas, I know that I'm going to need 2 nitrate ions to combine with every 1 calcium in order to make a neutral compound. So calcium nitrate is going to look like this. Ca for calcium, NO3 for nitrate, but I need 2 of those nitrates to combine with every 1 calcium. It's important we get the correct ratio to represent what that compound really has in it. Okay. Now, let's take a look at what happens afterwards. After the reaction, calcium is now by itself. It's no longer with the nitrate. So we get solid calcium out of this and sodium nitrate. Now here's the problem a lot of people run into. They want to turn sodium nitrate into a formula that looks a lot like calcium nitrate. And they're going to be similar, but there is a fundamental difference. Sodium is a different kind of metal. It makes a positive 1 charge on its ion. Nitrate is negative 1. So that tells me that I don't need 2 nitrates now like I did with calcium. I only need a 1-to-1 ratio. So sodium nitrate is going to look like this. Sodium, nitrate is NO3, but notice there's only 1 of these. You don't even need to draw the parentheses, but I'm putting them there just so you recognize that's a single ion. Alright, now I've got the formula. Each one of these represents the actual formula for that substance. Okay, I'm not making that formula based on what happened in the reaction. It's all based on the words and the name of that particular compound. Now once I've got all that done, all this is written out here, now it's time to go through and balance it. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the amounts. I've got the correct formulas. Now I need to know how much of each one should I have. You can kind of pick any place to start here, but let's see, let's use green. I haven't had that one on there yet. Okay, I'm going to start taking a look maybe at my nitrates. And I know nitrate is made up, this right here, nitrate is made up of nitrogen and oxygen. But since it's NO3 on this side, and it's still put together as NO3 over here, I can kind of treat it like it's its own element, even though it really isn't. I have 2 nitrates on the left. Over here I got 2 of those things. Over here I only have 1. So I'm going to put a 2 out in front of that entire compound. I can't just separate it out and say, well, I want twice as much nitrate. The entire thing has to be doubled. Okay, if it's connected with sodium, then I got twice as much of that. Now notice that gives me 2 sodiums, so I need a 2 right there. Now I got to look back at everything else. What about calcium? Well, calcium, I have 1 right here, and I've got a 1 right there. 2 nitrates, 2 nitrates. Okay, it looks like I'm totally balanced. But notice the balancing part happened at the very end. I didn't worry about how much of each thing I had until I got to the final result. It's very important that you take the words and use the words to make the correct formula before you worry about how much there is.